Hey guys, Kyle the Death Knight of Venom here, bringing you my review for One Piece episode 852. I'm sorry this one's so late, guys. It's been one of those busy days today, so I haven't I was able to get the Attack on Titan review done only after supper because I had the time, and this was it was just like I just had so much going on lately today. But yeah, now that I'm here, let's get to it. And one immediate plus about the episode for me is a definite improvement in the art and animation compared to the last episode. And was and the thing about and the art and animation overall was just a little more consistent throughout, as well as the fact that it pretty much jumped right into where it as pretty much and as far as the episode itself, one thing I like is that it pretty much jumped right into where it left off from the last episode, while also incorporating the recap as well, but pretty much before even getting to the opening. And honestly, with something like this, I hope Toei keeps doing it like this, because I feel it's honestly just a better way of approaching the anime as we get just enough recap to catch us up, as well as a little bit of actual progression in the beginning, but even before getting to the opening. And in that scenario, the opening would be the slowest part of the beginning. I mean, I know I know that there's always going to be those episodes that are slow paced, but it would at least even if the episode is slow, at least doing it like that in the beginning would at least make up for at least the rest of the episode, I guess you could say. But yeah, I and yeah, I just hope Toei doesn't. I just hope Toei doesn't kind of revert back to in order to doing it the old way, because I think we can all agree that the old way of them doing the recaps and the opening sucked. But at least in this sense, it gives us a little bit more. At least it gives us a little bit more progression, even if the episode itself is not the greatest. Is not the greatest. Um, and yeah, if there's anything this fight with Katakuri continues to prove, is that Luffy is pretty much outmatched in every way, and the whole fight felt like he was battling a much more powerful mirror image of himself, and in a lot of ways, that's exactly what Katakuri is. What we're basically seeing in this fight from Katakuri is how powerful Luffy could be in the future. Everything Katakuri is that represents everything Katakuri is. Everything Katakuri is, like every bit of fighting, every technique, every skill he has. It represents Luffy's potential and how powerful he could be in the future. And what Luffy needs to do right now is actually basically really study Katakuri and see how he can apply at least what Katakuri knows to his own strength. And right now, the biggest obstacle we can definitely see in this fight is Katakuri's future sight. Luffy needs to learn how to overcome that more than anything else, because right now the only thing separating them is the technicalities of their devil fruits. One being a Mochi Man and the other being a Rubber Man. And it's strange to think that this fight basically amounts to two shadows fighting each other. But it really is that situation. Like if Luffy can't find a way to either learn to use future sight himself, or find a way to pretty much overcome it, this battle really is going to be a lost cause. And in a lot of ways, this battle almost kind of goes back to basically this battle in a way kind of brings back a lot of the elements from his fight with Eneru, and how Eneru could predict his moves. But in this situation, I don't think turning off Luffy's brain is really going to work. Like, Luffy's going to have to figure something else out in order to even go toe to toe with Katakuri now. And yeah, I really like how this fight just keeps adding the stakes onto Luffy. Luffy is in a very tight situation that he needs to get out of. It's pretty much hopeless. It's even honestly this fight is even sounding more hopeless than the fight with than the fight with Rob Lucci than the fight with Rob Lucci and the fight with Enaru. It's kind of amazing. Um, and now one thing I was a little worried about with this episode is that once it switched over to putting Sanji and Shifon, that I was worried that once it shifted over to them, I thought that the episode was going to drag and the pacing of the episode was gonna get dragged down a bit. And while there were moments of it dragging, overall it managed to maintain a relatively damn good pace, especially with the scene of Sanji explaining the plan of attack after the cake is completed. I thought Toei was going to drag that out, was going to drag it, was going to drag that out, was going to drag that explanation out a lot more than I thought. But I'm impressed with how Toei just mowed through through basically that whole scene and moved on. Now, having said that, there is still a very real possibility of them using a setup like this in order to basically in order to extend future episodes, especially with the whole process of the cake being made. Like I have learned that with Toei, they seem to use they seem to take advantage of certain scenes and stretch them out in order to avoid pacing problems. So yeah, the whole cake making process, I can see it being one of those scenes that is going to get stretched out for basically future episodes. But and so it's one of those things where it was like the whole cake making scene as a whole, it was a big problem in the manga, but here it could possibly become an even bigger issue, I guess you could say. But for now, I will say that they handled the pacing well, at least in this episode. And one other thing I liked about this part of the episode is that I've always kind of considered moments that use putting split personality for levity as hit or miss, at least thus far. But in this episode, I genuinely did enjoy the interactions that both sides were had with Sanji and even Shifon. Like those moments she basically had of interacting with both of them were genuinely very likable, and it was very subtle and not. I don't know how many people are actually going to talk about it, but putting herself also proved to be an actual asset to Sanji in this situation by changing the cook's memories. Like just from simply doing that one little bit, she pretty much managed to prove just how much of an asset she pretty much is to Sanji. And yeah, it was. I'm really curious to see like where exactly how this whole team up is gonna work, because, well, let's be honest. One Piece is anything in One Piece is not without its hitch, and with this particular scene, it was an amazing scene, and it showed and it showed how much Pudding is willing to help Sanji, and Sanji is willing to help Pudding and all that. But at the same time, this is also one of those scenes where I'm asking, what's the catch? What exactly is going to screw this whole situation up? Because we know that someone in the Big Mom Pirates, and especially definitely someone in her family, like someone in Pudding's family, is going to catch on to this whole thing. So what exactly is going to be the hitch here? Like who's going to come in and say, Pudding, what's going on? So yeah, I'm curious to see where this is going to go in terms of that too. And I'll openly admit, it's been a while since I've felt any sense of suspense from the cliffhanger ending of a One Piece episode. But damn, this episode even managed to pull that off, because the last couple minutes leading up to the Be Continued really got my heart thumping a few beats, and in this episode, and with this ending, just further enforced that if you challenge a Yonko, you'll be facing a threat at every turn. And I mean, it's bad enough that Luffy is facing an unstoppable fighting machine like Katakuri, who is in the last portion of this episode, really went ham on Luffy and refused to give him any opening to fight or stop the attack on the Sunny. And it just, in that one scene, it just also proved that, yeah, the Big Mom pirates are really upping the stakes. And the thing is, I've heard people talk about how there's really no legitimate threat in this arc to the Straw Hats. And my response to that has always been, if that's the case, then what keeps beating them down? I mean, we have to look at it this way. In terms of the Straw Hats facing a situation that'll kill them, that isn't going to happen. And they aren't going to die until possibly the end of the series. And even in that situation, I really want to see Luffy being the dead man walking. The important part, however, of scenes like this and seeing the Straw Hats in such peril is to reinforce the threat that the threat isn't just from the Yonko themselves, but from their crew. And it pushes the Straw Hats to develop and become better as individuals. Because if they don't, then their if only one member of the crew gets if only one member of the crew develops, then their chances of facing Kaido will slip even lower. Like, I'm talking in the negatives now. Like, but this whole fight with Big Mom, like this whole thing with Big Mom and Whole Cake Island has just been a precursor to prepare them for what to expect with Kaido. And these stakes are the kind needed to help them reach that plateau, or at least something similar to that plateau. Also, art and animation in the second half of the episode of the Luffy versus Katakuri fight was very well done. In fact, it really only improved. Like, the thing about the art and animation in this episode is that it started off really good, and it really kind of only improved from there. Although one thing I can see is that with the art and animation, like, I can see it really kind of showing a lot of good in the bigger aspects of the fight. But in terms of the smaller scenes, I can see it taking a bit more of a hit in later episodes when we only get like those smaller scenes, when it's really only briefly touched on and it focuses on something else. But yeah, guys, that's my review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter and Facebook. Death Knight of Anime, signing off. Later, guys.